We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. This quote is famously from George Bernard Shaw and is used in the movie The Rule of Jenny Penn, the movie I am reviewing today. I had 4 films to choose from to watch today, and I could only choose 2. A drama I didn't know much about, an action movie that seems to be getting good reviews, a horror film with John Lithgow, and a movie based off of a George R.R. Martin short that is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Which 2 do you think I chose? When I hear that John Lithgow will play the villain in a new film, all I can say is, please take my money right now. Lithgow has played some great villains in his career, such as Brian De Palma's Blowout, Cliffhanger, and one that I think is unfairly overlooked, which is Brian De Palma's Raising Cain. I'm sure you understand why I would be excited to see this film. Based on a novel of the same name by Owen Marshall, The Rule of Jenny Penn also stars Geoffrey Rush, which adds to my excitement even more. The story is about a judge, played by Rush, who suffers a stroke during a sentencing hearing and is sent to recover in an assisted living facility. Stefan, the name of the judge, is haughty and thinks he is better, smarter, and more capable than everyone else living at this facility. He has a roommate named Howie, whom he can't stand because he feels he is entitled to have facilities all to himself. He keeps telling everyone that he is basically going to get better and get back to his normal life to basically escape from these individuals he believes are simpletons. In the first scene of the movie, you see him sentencing a repeat child attacker, and he even berates the mother of one of the victims. This guy is clearly not a nice person. We see a man in the facility named Dave, who is played by John Lithgow. He always has a little puppet on his hand, steals other people's food, laughs maniacally at certain things, and is disruptive but in what seems to be a charming way to the orderlies who work at this place. Eventually, Dave sets his eyes on Stefan and begins to frame him for things such as not taking his medicine, accusing Stefan of harassing him, and attacking him, all the while sneaking into his room at night and tormenting Stefan and his roommate. Since Stefan is already acting like a very grumpy person to everyone, including the orderlies, they side with Dave mostly. And this is a setup for what is essentially a 1 hour and 43-minute mental horror done on this individual. This is not a horror movie with jump scares, tons of gruesome deaths, or chase scenes. This is a horror movie psychologically. John Lithgow's character seemingly wants to beat everyone into mental submission until they conform to his will and accept that Jenny Penn, the doll, is the ruler of this place. He even asks everyone on several occasions, quote, "Who rules?" And if they don't say Jenny Penn, then things will get worse for that person. So, I'm sorry if you're looking for the typical horror conventions, you will not find them here. This movie is about a psychotic elderly man who is having fun tormenting anyone he can get his hands on. Geoffrey Rush gives a good performance here. It's not as ridiculous as some of his earlier roles. It's more grounded and personal. He's incredibly agitated that he is stuck in a place he believes is his high stature. But since he is in a wheelchair, he's essentially not able to fight back against the ruthless mental games of his nemesis. John Lithgow is amazing in this movie, as I knew he would be. There's just something about Lithgow playing psychotic people that only he can do. I don't know if it's because he's able to turn on the charm or innocence when he needs to, or if he's just such a great method actor that he can basically be anything he wants. I think Lithgow had a wonderful time playing the villain in this movie. The story doesn't elaborate on it, but it seems that everyone is terrified to speak up about Lithgow's character, which implies that he has caused everyone to say Jenny Penn rules to several of the patients. Now, this movie is not without violence and gore, but it is mostly suggested and never outright shown. There was a movie last year called The Front Room, and the best part of that very flawed movie was the elderly woman playing the victim, even though she was a psychopath who would excrete in her pants just for giggles. I am convinced John Lithgow's character is this girl's brother or some distant relative of some sort. Since I'm not monetized yet, I will say that every time he gets people to say those words about his doll, he tells them to lick her ass, which is his wrist, signifying his dominance. If I get monetized, I may censor that out later. There is a mental cat and mouse thing going on in this movie, but it doesn't come until much later because Wright's character thinks that following the rules will get him results. And for reasons that are kind of weakening for the plot, no one seems to believe him, and just seemingly thinks that Lithgow's character is just a great chum. Honestly, the orderlies of this place seem to not be around much, except for when certain events do occur. Like, for example, there's an odd sequence early in the film where one guy is having a cigarette with Rush's character, and he all of a sudden sets himself on fire. I do not know why that was there, but it was interesting to watch. From my experience, people who live in these kind of facilities are not left to their own vices this frequently. But I also know that some of these places are legendary for the mistreatment. So I approach it as being just a terribly run place where everyone that works there is terrible at their jobs. The doll doesn't have any supernatural things going on with it, so it doesn't have any specific surprise going on there. There aren't really any plot twists to convolute the story very much. The relationship that Rush's character has with his roommate has a gradual arc that culminates in the end involving a secret hiding place the roommate hides in to get away from everyone. But they only really have a bond because they both are being tormented by this psychopath. The idea of horror about the elderly excites me for some reason. It might be because we spent so many years fixating on children being the object of horror that it's fun to see it come from the perspective of the old. And this movie is a good watch if you're okay with slower burn psychological head games and don't just crave murder every 8 minutes. There is a sequence involving a key card and a woman waiting for her family to take her home that didn't have any service to the plot except to show potential malice for one of the characters, and the ending came without the proper build up for me. But if you like John Lithgow as a villain at all like I do, you owe it to yourself to check this movie out. It is a Shudder horror film, so it will probably be on that service after the theatrical run. I recommend it no matter how you see it, and enjoy John Lithgow chew up the scenery with his insane antics. You won't be disappointed if you like this performance in films like Raising Cain, which is a highly underrated Brian De Palma film in my opinion. I give The Rule of Jenny Penn 3 stars out of 4. It's not a bloodbath horror movie, but if you have seen my channel review certain horror films, you know that I am sometimes a sucker for these psychological horror films. And this is a good one, so check it out. Okay, The Rule of Jenny Penn, have you seen it? Please let me know what you thought of it. After seeing John Lithgow in Conclave, it was nice to see him return to horror once again. Anyway, if you like this, please like and subscribe. Here's links to some other videos. Follow me on social media if you like. And until next time, I am Ghost.